Hello and welcome to Women Winning Their Way. I am your host, Clara Capano, and this is the show where we get real and we talk about the power of being able to create success all on our terms. I am so excited because today we get to have my sister Lisa as a guest. I was able to have my mom on the show, my sister Amy, and now I get to have my sister Lisa. And we're going to talk about the importance of starting over. You see, sometimes on our path to success, we have new chapters, we have different chapters. And sometimes we have to completely trash what we're doing and start from scratch. And this is something that Lisa has been doing her entire life. And she really has an amazing story that I'm excited to share with all of you. Before we dive in and I bring Lisa on the stage, I just wanted to thank you for following. As a community, we are entering into probably our sixth season. I initially started this during the pandemic and I've rebranded it. And now we're in our second full season of doing it on this platform of EC360 TV. And the response has been incredible. So I am so excited and so honored that you are following. Stay till the end, because at the end, I'm going to wrap it up with some of my own thoughts and also share some of the other resources that I have for you when you are a part of our community. So with that said, I just want you to think about, when was the last time you had to start over? When was the last time you either voluntarily or involuntary had to make the decision to dive back in and recreate your path to success? So with that said, Lisa, welcome.
Hi.
So you are calling us from your studio in Imperial Beach, which is just outside of San Diego. And we're going to get talking about all of those things. And you'll be able to tell us a little bit more about what is going on. But before we dive into this and before we start talking about your journey to creating your own company and your own legacy, tell us a little bit, when you were young and you thought about the future, what did you think success was going to look like for you when you were a kid?
Well, as you know, our dad instilled the sense of you got to be the best. And I always remember being the best, doing your best, 110%. I'm the firstborn, so I got a lot of it. And you being the lastborn, you still got a lot of it, but you have examples of all of us in front of you. So I just know that success to me meant being proud of what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
having fun at what I'm doing, and giving 110%. Always. You
Always.
have to give your best.
Yeah.
There's always going to be somebody better. And you may not, Dad taught me this. You may not please everybody in life, but you got to do your best and please yourself.
Yeah. And that was one of the things I remember too. It's, again, striving to, raise your standards and, again, being able to, no matter what it is you strive to do, again, always being proud of the work that you're putting out there. And, for anybody that knows our dad, we are a family of short people. Dad at his height was, 5'3". He's shrinking now,
On a good day.
I'm 5 foot, you're 4'11" and a half. And I remember he always used to tell us, walk 5'7". He would always say 5'7", walk.
Hell, I'm 6'3".
So those are some of the things we're doing. So, let's start talking about this because, one of the things, you are a few years older than me. And when you were going off to college and then imparting on your career, I was still home. So I got to watch you, and a lot of the things you did, you were always one of the people who would never hold back. You did things that felt right to you. You were always marching to the beat of your own drum. And, when you had something that you wanted, you would go after it. This was really apparent as you went into college. You were studying at San Jose State, you were studying graphic design, and you all of a sudden had a dream to go into study abroad, which a lot of people do. And you chose to study abroad in Italy, which made sense because, again, art, Italy, it kind of goes hand in hand. But you took it a step further. You actually decided that you wanted to pursue furthering your education. So after your year abroad, you came back home, you graduated, and then you decided to go back to Italy for grad school. So tell us a little bit about that, because were you met with any types of reservations on that, not for you but for people around you? Did they think you're crazy, because here you are now having to go back and again do 2 more years of grad school in Italian, learning your craft?
Yep. So when I decided to do my junior year abroad, that was fine. We are Italian. I chose Italy, of course, and because of the art. And I was going into my third year of graphic design at San Jose State, and I hated graphic design. And being in San Jose, we just had computers. I hate computers. I still hate computers. I respect them, but I hate them. So I was doing the graphic design because I'm an artist. And I remember mom and dad going, oh God, our oldest is an artist. What the hell is she going to do? So I chose graphic design because to be a real artist, there's 1 in 100 who can actually make it. So I chose something that would be an art and that I could do. Well, I couldn't do a good job out of it. And I just hated it. So I went junior year abroad to Italy with the intention of fulfilling my class studies from my junior year that were mapped out for me by my professors so I could still get credit, because I needed to get credit. And I did my graphic design studies. I made projects and then shipped them back and also brought them back with me, and then was evaluated and therefore got credit in my art semesters that I spent there. Then I finished up 26 units each semester because that was a 5-year grad program at San Jose State. And I just switched it all, and I just went for fine art and fulfilled everything I needed to get done within 1 year because I wanted to get back to Italy. I loved Italy that much. I loved being there. I loved being in the art, eating and breathing it. And I just knew I had to be there. So I finished up everything, applied to the Institute for Art and Restoration, which is in Florence. I found out about that through the Italian consulate in San Jose. She didn't think I was crazy. She was an Italian who had transplanted to America, and having me want to go back to Italy, she was thrilled about that, but she had to find something for me, and we found the Institute for Art and Restoration. I'm like, oh yeah, I saw a lot of people there, on scaffolding or in the museums working on stuff. I'm like, yeah, that would be good. It's art and science together. That's a great idea. So I applied, got accepted, and the catch was that everything is in Italian. So you have to learn Italian. You have to speak Italian in order to do your 2 years for a master's degree. So dad is always a big part of us. He and I went to Willow Glen High School in the evening classes to take Italian and had a great time. And that way I got my intro to Italian, because I had already been speaking Spanish because I took that in high school. Mm-hmm. And prepared my brain that way, graduated from San Jose State, was on a plane within 2 weeks to go back to Italy and get settled so I could start the school year in September at the Institute for Art and Restoration. Okay. So I've always done stuff. I set goals for myself, mm-hmm. and I don't care how difficult they are. As you know, I do it. I get there.
So you're now finding yourself in Italy. You're going to grad school for restoration, which is vastly different than the graphic design.
Yes.
Now, did everything go swimmingly for you?
No, because everything was in Italian.
Invite you with welcome hearts?
I had my little cassette recorder because, this was 84, 85, and I would record my lessons, every single lesson. There were 7 lessons a day in all different manners of art restoration, besides chemistry. I couldn't even do that in English, let alone Italian, but I had brought all my books, and my friend Anna her father was a chemistry professor at Santa Clara University. He sent me a book about chemistry and that broke it down into basics. And so I recorded my lessons, went home during the afternoons, translated from Italian into English, broken English, and then had to retranslate it back into broken Italian. So when I got called on in class, I could show that I understood everything, whether it was art history, painting, any of the restoration classes that we took. I had to show that I understood everything and could explain myself. And that's what I did. I mean, it was not graphic design anymore. It was mm-hmm. different, completely different, but the language barrier. But I can't shut up in any language. So
I was going to say that, they always say, do the conversational, get out there and practice. Well, again, one thing that you have a gift for outside of art is definitely the gift of gab. We're doing that. So now you graduate. Again, you're doing what it takes. You get there, you're getting out, you graduate. Did you find a job right away?
No, because I had to come back to the United States. And because you can only stay in Italy for a certain amount of time, or if you are a student on a student visa. So since I graduated, I had to come back to the United States. And I came back with a purpose. I actually, mom had done a little bit of research for me, and she had found a lady in San Francisco who is a painting conservator and was looking for a mentee, or a schlop, somebody to do stuff with. So
We
I
call
met
them
with her.
apprentices sometimes.
Yeah, we could call them apprentices. My words, I have problems with my words. So I was a great apprentice, but I was really an intern. So there we go. That just sounds better. I was an intern. And it was a great experience. I lived in the city, which I love. And I learned modern techniques of art restoration because Jean was working at, the Getty Museum, the San Francisco Museum of Art would use her, Oakland Museum, Berkeley, everybody. But she was also dealing with modern paintings. And when I say modern, I mean from like the 1940s, okay?
Mhm.
So, and there's different art techniques and acrylic paints and all these different mixed mediums. So I was learning an impressive amount of art restoration for modern paintings, which has served me incredibly over the years. So
But
then,
it didn't stop there,
no, because I
because
did that for
when
a
you came
year.
home, you also brought a friend with you.
I did. I brought my first husband, Lauro. Lauro, Italian, and he came over. We got married, and then went back to Italy. So now married. I've married an Italian. I've gotten my internship under my belt. We moved to the 5th floor of a walk-up apartment, one room studio apartment. Train tracks on one side, traffic on the other side, and this is my dream, right?
Well, again, people write about this. It's the romance of it all. But
It
now
is.
we've got to get a job. And if I remember correctly, that was something that was a big challenge for you. And this is where I really want to talk about the starting
Yes.
over, because you had all the boxes checked off. You had
Yes.
the education, you had the language, you had the drive, but nobody would hire you.
No. So what I did was I looked in the yellow pages. Remember the yellow pages that
I
we,
do.
So I looked in the yellow pages under Restoration Studios there in Milan, because that's where Laura and I lived, on the outskirts of Milan. And I found about 5 or 6 studios. And I just started calling them, literally from the payphone.
Mm.
And putting in my gettone, all my little coins, to keep the line going, as I kind of interviewed over the phone, which with each studio that I called. Some were saying, "Oh, we don't hire, we don't hire anybody." But I did find 2 ladies. One, she was hired, not for pay. She was doing like another internship, and I said, not really. I need to make a living. And the other one actually said, "You know what? Yeah, I'll hire you." And that was also because she was very interested in me and being an American. And Paula, God bless her, she was a step in the right direction at the right time in my life, and she took me in. And I was talented. Don't get me wrong. I had it all down pat. I knew exactly how to do restoration skills, but it was also a plus for her to have me because I was her little American. Mm-hmm. So it worked, and I stayed with her for about maybe 3 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I went to another lady because Paola moved her studio down to Rome area. So I found another studio. But at that point, I also had found other ladies who did restoration, and who together we opened a studio in one of the ladies' houses that had a backyard, and a studio space that opened up to the backyard. So we just used that as our studio.
And it sounds all glorious and glamorous, but let's go back to one of the things that, was in the back of the mind, especially of people's parents, is an artist. Are you going to make any money doing this? So was it paying the bills?
Luckily, Lauro had a great job and still has that job today. He's a wonderful, wonderful man with a great career. But I made money. Don't get me wrong. I made money, but it wasn't enough money in my mind and I needed to get out more. And slowly that was happening. People were starting to know who I was. And that was through also parental friends of the girls, the ladies who I worked with. And so they brought us paintings. All the families had paintings because everybody had good art
Mhm.
and from centuries old. And so that helped. But also, I always kept another job going as a side hustle. And this is what I did also in high school and college. And I taught English lessons in Italy. I taught private English lessons, and people came to my house, or I put my name up at the universities with the little tabs that you rip off, and then people call you. So I did some at the universities, but I was never an English teacher, and I never
Mhm.
professed that to be. I always said, if you need tutors, I'm here. So I got jobs like that, and I always had that as my second job to fall back on. I always call it pizza money.
Okay, I
Yeah.
love it. So, during this time, before we go into the next chapter, during this time in Italy, what would you say were some of the biggest lessons that helped you to find that level of success and the sustainability?
Well, you have to have a lot of toughness. As
Mhm.
mom says, tough. You got to be
Mhm.
tough. And it is always a man's world. And you just have to sell yourself. You really have to have confidence. Luckily, I have plenty of that. And I
Yep.
was I was also good. I mean, I've always been good at doing what I do. And
Mhm.
I'm very fortunate. I count my blessings every day that I know how to do something that not too many people know how to do.
Mhm.
So even then, with the training, with the schooling, with all of the other people I've met along the way, you still have to have the grit to do it and the desire. You have to have passion for what you do. And that's one thing mom and dad have always taught us. You have to like what you do, and
Yep.
you have to have passion for what you do. So, and I did. Plus, I'm
Mhm.
loud, outgoing, and I just made myself known
Yep.
always.
Okay. So now we're there. We're in Italy. You lived in Italy for almost 15 years. And then you came to a time where the next chapter had to start.
Yeah.
You were feeling a draw to come back to America. Your husband did not want to come with you. So you made the tough decision to, walk away from that marriage, not walk away, but dissolve that marriage, even though you maintained a friendship. So now you're back in America. You
Yeah.
have this portfolio behind you, but again, you got here and this concept of having to start over,
Yes.
because even though you had lived in Italy, you've worked in amazing areas. Again, you've worked on artwork that has hung in palaces. So again, you had the reputation, you had the resume, but you still were faced with the resistance of people not hiring you. So talk to us a little bit about how you had to start over from scratch and kind of go to the bottom end of the totem pole again
Right.
as
So I
you.
was I was 38 years old. Laura and I divorced amicably. I moved back. We didn't move to California because mom and dad were living in Colorado at that point. So I moved to Colorado where I'd never lived before and really didn't know anything about the art restoration world in Colorado. Had to live with mom and dad for a good year, year and a half while my divorce was finalized and while I was building up clientele. So I remember it was a snowy day, and I hate snow, but I was walking down the Pearl Street Mall with my portfolio, my actual physical, like we used to do once upon a time, page by page portfolio, going to all the art dealers, every single art dealer along Pearl Street Mall in downtown Boulder, not literally walking in, cold call, just walk in and say, who's the boss here? Is he or she here today? If they weren't, make an appointment to come back, leave a card. I'd make business cards. And, or if the owner of the place was in the gallery, I would just introduce myself, open a portfolio and say, and literally I would say this, you need me. You need a person like me. Whether you already have an art conservator or not, I am good. I am easy to work with. I'm smart and I know what I'm doing. And you need me. I sold that fact that you, and I did that in Denver too, went to all the antique dealers. And then I also looked up who was living in the Denver area who was in painting conservation. And we had the Western Conservation Center there, and we also had a couple of private conservators. And I called them and I found one, Randy Ash, who hired me. I went to her studio, I think 2 days a week, and I started at $25 an hour, which back then was, good money.
Mhm.
And I worked on projects that she had already gotten. So I wasn't her intern, I was her
Mhm.
equal colleague, but she was the main, conservator. So I was having my business, working with Randy, and doing projects at the Iowa State Capitol. I mean, Randy had been in business for years and years, so she had a good following. And therefore, I could work on a lot of the good
Right.
work. And my name got out. And
Exactly, and I think
I
that's
stayed.
such an important lesson that people need to understand is sometimes you have to set your personal ego aside
Yeah,
and you have to partner with somebody else. And I know
yes,
that I did that throughout my career, partnering with, Ninja because I know that I'm good, but sometimes they can open doors that you're not quite able to open on your own
exactly.
yet.
And like I said, there's always going to be somebody better, but you can be colleagues together and give the best twofold, threefold. And
Mhm.
I stayed in Colorado for 22 years and then moved to California where I am now. So,
And you had to start over
and I had to
yet
start
again,
over
and
again.
this is a
And that,
newer chapter. This has been just in the last 3 years, and I remember, again, talking with you several times where, it was frustrating because again, you were there, you had the experience, you had the name, but again, starting over. So
yeah,
it was back to hitting the pavement,
yeah,
and I know that it took probably about maybe 6 to 8 months before you really started feeling the momentum. I want to talk about this because I think part of the problem when we start over is it messes with our mind. We can start to question ourselves, our confidence, our abilities. Is that anything that you did?
yes. So it's this happened. Bill and I married again. Bill, my husband, and I came to San Diego because mom and dad are elderly and they need help, and it was always good to be near them. So we moved here in 2020, COVID. I had a great business going. I mean, I great business in Colorado, but and a lot of my clients still ship me stuff. So I was 57 years old. I just turned 60. And at 57, literally starting over, where some people knew me because during the years I had restored some paintings, coming, staying with mom and dad and doing stuff for clients. But nobody really knew me. So I got here. I had to get my business license for the county of San Diego and the city of Imperial Beach since I work at home, which was different because and get my business name out there. And Colorado doesn't. They have different laws, for
Mhm.
work and for self-employed people. So that was done, and then I had to literally sell myself again. So I went around Orange Avenue in Coronado to all the art galleries and with my portfolio over always, but also with my business card where they could go online and see my website. And then talking with mom and dad's friends and letting them know to tell their friends that I'm here. I started to give talks at the Bonita Museum, at the Coronado Historical Society, at Coronado Library. I joined Imperial Beach Arts Bureau because I live in Imperial Beach. Joining the Arts Bureau got my name out as well, and I've been restoring murals here in town. Imperial Beach has lots of murals, and they always get tagged with graffiti. So now IB has a person that they can ask to go out and fix the mural. So all of
Mhm.
a sudden I'm getting exposure, but the money wasn't coming in and the clients were slow. And I've always had a part-time job, like I said. And during all my years, I worked with Walmart for 19 years as a cashier, 2 days a week. And so that kept my pizza money going.
Mhm.
And then I just literally just talked my way into knowing people, antique dealers, but it was COVID. So a lot of the stores and shops were closed. And I would just email people, send them my resume, send them my website, everything. And people would respond back like, good to know you're here. I'll put your, name on file. And slowly, swear to God, slowly it started. And then things are trickling in. And it's still, I mean, I have great clientele and returning clientele. It's been 3 years and I am still wanting more. I think that I will die with my epitaph saying, "Here lies Lisa, the girl who always wanted more."
Very true.
So
It's a blessing and a curse, isn't it?
it is,
Mhm.
yeah.
So,
So
in looking at all of these, because some of the, one of the messages I constantly hear is, this idea of, again, making things happen. You are not one to sit back on the
nope,
sidelines. I
nope,
remember even knowing when you were going to be coming back to America, knowing when you were going to San Diego. You didn't wait until you landed there. All of these things started ahead of time.
yep,
So I would
research.
love to just, have you give some tips to some of our viewers and listeners, because I know that there are people out there that are thinking of either leaving their job and going to a different career.
Yep,
Maybe they're in that chapter where, again, now it's time for their next career. It's this concept and this fear of starting over. With
yeah.
everything you've learned, what would you say? What is some of the advice that you have for people that are wanting to start over?
I say go for it because there's no going back. You just go for it. You have the world is your oyster, and you never fail. You'll never fail. But do your research. So in my case, I looked into the AIC, the American Institute for Conservation, to find out who was in the neighborhood here in San Diego and Los Angeles, um, who I could call to get some feedback of where I can buy materials. Because California, you can't buy a lot of the solvents because they have a thing that says you can't have certain things. So I have to ship things in. Canvas, where can I find the best canvas? All these different things. So I talked to the people. I did my research. So if you want to start over again, go out there and make yourself known. Call up people and find out who is in your field, who is doing what you're doing. Not that they're your competition, but that they're your colleagues. And be friendly because people can be put on the defense real quickly when another fish starts to swim in their ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And just explain that you're here. I did. I explained. I said who I am and that I have great credentials and don't feel threatened by me. There's plenty of stuff to be out there to get done. And I'm here to assist you. Also, I put myself up for assisting if you need an extra set of hands to do a
Mm-hmm.
project. So I say, people, even at any age, give it a try. Just go for it, but do your homework, do your
Mm-hmm.
research to
Yeah.
find out. And also, don't take no as an answer. Cry. I cried. I painted our bathroom downstairs as I was waiting and waiting, and all I had was Walmart. I'm like, oh my God. And the occasional client, I just sat in the bathroom and painted on the walls a beautiful ocean scene. And my husband would come in, knock on the door, and open it. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't anybody calling me? He goes, you've been here 3 months. Give them
I remember having the same
TikTok.
conversation with you for those
We
first
all
six
did.
months.
Everybody, mom, dad, you, Amy, Paul, everybody's like, give it time, be patient. Screw that. TikTok, let's go.
So I do want to talk about this for a moment. I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to talk about this because it is hard. I know when I started, my business, I just, have relocated and it is hard. If somebody is there, you do have support from your family, but not everybody has that. So if somebody is starting over again and they really are more on their own and they're starting to get discouraged, what would you encourage them to do?
Join groups. I found literally I online art in Imperial Beach, California, art in San Diego, art, and I found the Imperial Beach Arts Bureau, and so I joined them, and the Coronado Cultural Arts joined that too, the Historical Society joined that too, the Denver Art Museum, and I just went and I joined all of these art associated groups and made friends, gave business cards out.
Mhm.
Chamber of Commerce in any of the cities that anybody belongs in. There's a good networking system in the Chamber of Commerce. Also, just on Facebook today, just look for groups in your local area and you find women, women groups in lawyers or in libraries or in whatever your field is. You can find people like
Mhm.
interests and join them and get introduced to people. Yeah, and my husband Bill, he's a quiet man. I'm the one who's loud and gets out there and does stuff. And I needed that because I needed to find out what was available to me and how I could grow my business by them getting to know me and what I offer.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't just sit there and wait for people to find you. You have to go look for it. So that's what I
Right.
did. And that's what I would suggest to anybody wherever, if you change your city or your state or even country, try to find who is in your field out there, try to find like businesses and join them.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
So, being an artist, you fall under the umbrella of an entrepreneur, but you are running a business. So, do you have any best business practices so that the people that are listening who are entrepreneurs or small business owners, what are some of the things you do to make sure that your business is successful?
So find out if you need to join any guilds or get your licenses to practice
Mhm.
whatever you are doing. And I found that out here in California. To be self employed and work from home, I needed an Imperial Beach home business
Mhm.
license, which I renew every year. And also, I had to do my business fictitious name and get that done with the city of San Diego, the county of San Diego. And so cross those T's first. Make sure that you are straight across on board with what you need to get done to get your business out there and printed. Then I put an ad in the local paper, the Eagle Times, both in Coronado and Imperial Beach, with my business card. Just a little thing saying I'm here. And then what else did I do? Well, besides joining groups and getting my name out there, then I had talks. I gave
Mhm.
free talks about what I do with a PowerPoint presentation. And that was geared at museums because they could then use me if need be. And the people who go to museums to see these programs have paintings at home or inherited something from grandma and grandpa or are art collectors, etc. So I think to get your business out there and notice, you have to advertise. Now, advertising
Mhm.
can be done in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And that's, you got to find what works best. If I'm a lawyer, of course, I'm going to do it in a different way. If I'm a doctor, different way. If I'm a psychiatrist or a psychologist, different way. Being an artist, you want people to see you. So
Mhm.
you might go to farmers market and get a booth and put your art,
Mhm.
exhibit your art up. So but I just say get out there.
Yeah. I
Did I
wanna
answer the
tap in
question?
though to this I wanna tap into this idea of the classes and giving talks because that's something that I did a lot of, but I'm a speaker, I'm a
Yeah.
trainer, so it was easy, but I love and this I think this concept can speak to so many people. You're here again as an artist, so you could talk about some of these things, but I'm thinking even an insurance agent, they can do a
Yeah.
talk on some of the best policies to have. Again, a doctor can teach about whatever their, frame of reference is and whatever their specialty is. Attorneys can do it, financial planners can do it.
Yep.
So, just to give an idea, what were some of the things you specifically would talk about at your talks to help get the wheels moving? And then again, where are some places? Because I think you mentioned some groups, you mentioned some other places. Where could people go to maybe look at doing that? Because again, you weren't getting paid for these talks. You
Yep.
didn't want to spend a lot of money to host these events.
Yep.
So how can people leverage this concept? Because I think it can work for everyone.
So when I give my talks, whether they are small group talks, I do like people have a book club. Let's just start there.
Mhm.
Somebody who has a book club and you're reading Girl with the Pearl Earring. Okay, so it's about art, and I find that out because I know somebody who's reading, and I say, hey, do you want me to come and talk to your group? 10 people, 20 people, whatever. And I bring some of my paintings, which you see here, because I own these and I keep these as props. So I take
Mm.
them with me when I give talks. So that's a small group setting. Then, like if I just called and wrote emails to the people who are in charge of museums, local museums. And I said, hey, would you like a free talk? If you have a PowerPoint set up, I have PowerPoint with the little stick. You can put it in, and I bring props with me. and I bring my solvents and I talk about it. I did that at the Coronado Library, Bonita Museum, IB, Imperial Beach Library as well. I just get out there. I've got art galleries too. They set me up. I get a little table and I bring 2 or 3 props and I bring my solvents and I bring my colors and I show people who are walking by what I'm doing. Now, I do not teach them how to do it because
Right.
you need to get a credential. You need to study this and get a master's degree in this case. Excuse me. But this is what I did. I would do cold calls or email letters and say, would you like me? I'm offering this because there's always going to be somebody in the group who has a
Mhm.
painting or knows of somebody who has a painting. And that's how you get your name circulated.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And I just again think that not enough people are looking at this because when you do that,
yeah.
one, it shows your tenacity, and two, you get to be the expert and people get to
Oh, yeah.
see you, you know? So
Oh, yeah.
again, I work with a lot of realtors and lenders, host seminars,
Oh,
but doing
seminars.
these little lunch and learns. Again, I know people in the fitness area, they're going to corporations saying, let me come in once a week and do a yoga class for your
Exactly.
people.
Yep.
But I think again, starting to think broader because all of us have expertise. And again, I think part of starting over is you got to cut your teeth. You
Yeah.
got to get out there. And sometimes you have to do some things for free
For
or at a
free.
reduced price to
Yes.
get your foot in the door. So I think that
Yeah.
is really, really powerful.
It
So I
is.
appreciate you
I
sharing that.
really think even in today's world where everybody's on computers or tablets or whatever, the face to face meeting and greeting, even when I do what are they called? Days at school, what career days. I do career days, and I did them during COVID over Zoom with
Mhm.
students at Presentation High School where I went, and I had 3 groups each year who were watch me simultaneously do some cleanings on these paintings and talk to them. So literally offering it for free, getting out there to groups and saying,
Mhm.
would you like to have me as a guest speaker? The Knights of Malta, the newcomers groups for churches. Anybody is always looking for a free speaker.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
and it doesn't matter what you do, even if it's a jazzercise person, to go and give a free, I don't know, half hour, 45-minute,
Mhm.
workout to show people what you can do. It doesn't matter. You have skills and you have to sell them, but sometimes you have to sell for free.
Yeah. Well, it is. Again, it's getting your foot in the
You're
door. And I think,
investing. You're investing
but
in
again,
you.
it highlights
Yeah,
your level of expertise. So
exactly.
when you're looking over the course of your career, again, you have worked on pieces all around the globe. If
Yeah.
you had to pick one, what is the one with the biggest wow factor? What is the one that you would say you're most proud of doing?
There's a lot of them, but one that I worked on in St. Croix, the island of St. Croix, this one lady found me through an art dealer, painting art gallery dealer in Denver, Colorado. She had bought paintings from him, and she had mentioned that living in St. Croix, they had hurricane, whatever, because they have so many, and a painting by a wonderful, important artist from 1968, I think, was damaged in the hurricane. And it's an outdoor mural. And she was looking for somebody to restore it. And so he hooked us up, and through slides and photos and everything, I gave her a bid, and it was big. It was 6 feet high. It was a trapezoid kind of. It came down. The tallest point was 9 feet, and then it came down to 6 feet, and it was up over this bar. And so I gave her an estimate bid, and I said, I got to have a place to live because it's going to take 7 to 10 days to work on this. And they had a timeshare, and in Mill Harbor there on St. Croix. And so I stayed with them for a whole week and worked on this painting, and it was great. And it was one of the funnest and best experiences I've ever had because I had real life people coming to watch me clean and then restore this mural, which was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool how many people were thrilled by this, just that
Mhm.
somebody would come to do this. So,
Yeah. I love that.
yeah.
So, again, you have done so many things, and we are going to put all of your contact information in the show notes because one, you do travel globally. If someone needs help, you definitely will be out there. But again, other people might just want to pick your brain on doing these. But I would love to ask, what are some of the things that are next for you? What are you really focused on? And what are the things that you're excited about that are coming up for you?
Exciting things coming up, and every day is a new adventure. I have paintings all around me in my little studio here in the house, and every day, I mean, I get calls from museums, from art galleries, even all the way up to Los Angeles, because Los Angeles has a lot of conservators up there too. But down here in San Diego, there's only about 5 or 6 of us who do this. And murals, there's a graffiti on a mural downtown in IB here that I have to go take care of.
Mhm.
And really just every day is an adventure, Clara. You come here and you see, what do you have? I'm like, well, come look. There's 20 paintings in the lab, and collection people get in touch with me, art dealers. So
Your
really,
sisters sometimes get in touch with you when they have damage.
oh my God, I have yours here. Yep, I can't wait to see you again so I can
I
give you
know.
yours. Yep.
That's
So that was a
fantastic.
miracle painting too. Yes, that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we started off the conversation with what you thought success was going to be when you were a kid. The
Yeah.
last question I have for you before we close this out is, sitting where you are now, how do you define success for yourself today?
At this point in my life, success is still working, still having clients. And it's really all about how happy the clients are when they get their painting back, which they thought was a complete loss.
Mm-hmm.
The money is, I'm fine with the money. The money is great. I do a lot of mentoring, and I give back to the community. Like for Imperial Beach, I go and I do the graffiti work, for free because it's giving back to the community. So success to me is now watching people's faces when they go, "Holy crap, that looks amazing," or they cry because thank you, this they inherited this, or it's just, yeah. It's success is always being the best and giving 110%, but it's also making people happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much. This is my point where I get to gush all over you as my big sister. I, y- I always watched from the sidelines, but so much of you, I looked up to. Sometimes you beat up on me a little bit sometimes, but I think again that, made me who I am today. But again, I am very proud of you.
Thank
I
you.
I look at everything that you've done, and I know that on some days when I feel like I'm playing small, I go back through and I say, here is someone who again picked up and left. I mean, you had everything at your fingertips here in San Jose when you grew up. And you chose to leave that all behind and forge forward and to do this several times. Again, you have had paintings hanging in palaces, at the Brown Palace, at universities. You really are very well known in what you do, even though you don't speak about it as highly as you are. But it's also the side of kindness. You are really kind. You do not let people walk all over you.
Nope.
You always are there. You are very tough, but you do it always, again, with a kind heart. And I have seen you mentoring other people. I have seen the beauty of taking care of those around you. And I just have to say, I really do appreciate everything you do. And I have learned so much from you. And I know so many others have too. And I know that whenever I go someplace, everybody always asks about you. They want to know what you're doing. And when I say that you're going to be at one of my events, everybody is like, I could be pushed to the side and all they want to do is spend time with you, because you are truly a ray of sunshine. And
Thank
I
you,
just thank
Clarabelle.
you so much for all the beauty that you are bringing this world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you too. Well, as we take Lisa off the screen, this is, my chance to kind of decompress. And, there were so many lessons that Lisa went over, and I really hope that you took some notes on these. So some of the things that she talks about is, again, do what it takes. You are going to have obstacles. You are going to have challenges. You've got to have the grit and you've got to do what it takes. Whether that means getting out there and hitting the pavement and knocking on doors, whether that means taking a part-time job, even though you don't want to, whether it means having to, start at the bottom. Do what it takes. Your dreams are worth it, and none of this time is going to be wasted. She talked a lot about the idea of connections. Again, let people know what you're doing, but build collaborations, build connections, and be friendly when you're doing it. Again, it's this idea of abundance, not scarcity. We don't have to compete with each other. We can lift each other up, but kindness matters, and kindness is what people are going to remember. And that's what's going to open doors for you. She talked about selling yourself. You know, no one is going to sell you the way that you can sell yourself. And you can sit back and you can wait for other people to open doors for you, but you got to get out there and sell yourself. You've got to believe in yourself. And I know that this can be hard for many of us, myself included. But if you do not believe in yourself, nobody else will either. So let them know you need me. This is what I can do for you. Know their goals, know what it is they want to accomplish, and put yourself there and say, you want that? I am the person to help you get that. Sell yourself and sell how much they need you. Planting the seeds. If you know you're going to be making a move, if you know you want to start over, don't just cut the cord. Plant the seeds ahead of time. Start maybe 6 months to a year ahead of time. If you're going to move to a different location, go there, visit people, start jumping on the phone, start again joining clubs in those areas. Plant the seeds so that they're already getting that name recognition. She talked about researching. Again, know your market, know what it is that people need, know what it's going to take. If you need business licenses, if there's certain accreditations you're going to need. Again, go where it is you need to go. And then lastly, offering up your services. When you're getting started, and sometimes again, for many of us, we're starting a new career at a different stage in our life. We might be in our 40s, 50s, 60s. Sometimes you have to offer up what you're doing for free. This is something that I have done my entire career. When I left my real estate career and really went into my consulting, I taught lunch and learns all the time. I offered coaching at either a very reduced level or again for free. Now, building my personal speaking career, I'm doing the same thing. I am offering to go and do talks on burnout, on leadership, on mindset. I do them at the Chamber of Commerce. I take some of my realtor clients and I offer to do it for their personal sphere of influence. So again, sometimes you've got to do that to let people know how good you are and to again see these things. I will tell you, a lot of what I get paid for today is coming from those lunch and learns that I did for free 15 years ago. People remember. They remember you. They remember your kindness. They remember your grit. So I thank you so much for taking time to be a part of this. Remember, don't be afraid. At any age, you have the power to start over. You have the power to create success on your terms. And if you want a little bit of help, one, reach out to Lisa. She'll love to talk to you. And two, work with me. Join my group, the Lioness League, for $7 a month. You will get access to private training that are short tutorials around mindset, productivity, and leadership. You're going to get to connect with the Lioness community and be able to, again, collaborate, pick the brains, learn from these things, offering masterclasses. And again, it's $7 a month. Let's get real. We can blow $7 a month on coffee, on lunches. Let's start investing that in ourselves. Reach out to me one-on-one and let's have a talk about how I can help you bring clarity to your own areas of complexity and make it easy for you to create success on your terms. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget, take 30 seconds to go in to like, comment, rate, and please share these shows, because even if you are not looking to start over, there could be somebody in your world that needs to hear this message. So I'm Clara Capano. I am your host of Women Winning Their Way. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again so much.